Welcome to the annual Enfield Police Awards ceremony. Thank you all for coming. Looks like we have a great crowd tonight and supporting members of the Enfield Police Department, your family, your friends, and colleagues. I would first like to introduce the command staff of the Enfield Police Department. On stage with me is Chief Rick Fox. Standing to my right, Deputy Chief Fred Hall. And Captain Jeff Golden. So as some of you may know, this week is dedicated as National Police Week. A little history on this week. In 1962, President John F. Kennedy signed a proclamation which designated May 15th as Peace Officers Memorial Day and the week in which that date falls as Police Week. Currently, tens of thousands of law enforcement officers from around the world converge on Washington, D.C. to participate in a number of planned events which honor those that have paid the ultimate sacrifice. Some facts to consider during this Police Week. There are more than 900,000 sworn police officers now serving in the United States. Since the first recorded police death in 1786, there's been over 21,000 law enforcement officers killed in the line of duty. A total of 1,582 law enforcement officers have died in the line of duty during the past 10 years, an average of one death every 55 hours, or 158 per year. Thus far, 43 officers have been killed in the line of duty in 2019. Last week, on May 10th, 11th, and 12th, Enfield police officers, that include Sergeant Brian Nolan, Officers Chris Dufresne, Officer Mike Colantuano, Officer Steve Pryor, along with Support Officer Mike Lynch, joined nearly 2,500 other riders and bicycled nearly 300 miles from Somerset, New Jersey, to the National Law Enforcement Officers Memorial in Washington, D.C. as part of their Police Unity Tour. The primary purpose of the Police Unity Tour is to raise awareness about police officers that have died in the line of duty. Their motto is, "We ride for those who died." The second purpose is to raise funds for the National Law Enforcement Officers Memorial Fund. During their ride this year, they endured weather conditions that were far from perfect. They encountered high winds, heavy rain, and colder than normal temperatures along their trip. But they all persevered and arrived in Washington, D.C. on May 12th with thousands of people lining the streets of D.C. as they arrived. The Enfield team raised approximately $14,000 to participate in this ride. The total amount of money raised this year from the Police Unity Tour was approximately $2,810,000. 3 of those Enfield police officers with the Unity Tour are here tonight and will be posting our colors. Please stand.
Uniform personnel, attention. Present, arm.
Ladies and gentlemen, please remain standing. We have a special treat for us tonight. Please welcome the Enfield Montessori School as they will be singing the national anthem. And please remain standing afterward for Chief Rick Fox in leading us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Present, arm.
Oh, say, can you see Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Please be seated.
Order. Arms.
Thank you to the members of the Enfield Montessori School. That was wonderful. Please welcome to the stage Reverend John Melnick for our invocation.
Let us pray. Heavenly Father, you guide our paths and lead us each and every day. This evening we honor those officers and citizens who follow the path of truth and righteousness. They always give of themselves. They look to serve our community and keep it safe under your loving care. Bless them in their continued service. Bless them with integrity. Bless them with all that is good. For we gather in gratitude for their commitment. For keep it strong, and we ask all this through Christ our Lord.
And now for our opening remarks, please welcome to the stage Chief Alaric Fox.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome. We are, as always, very pleased that you would join us for this evening's event. I am Chief Alaric Fox, and it is my very great honor to serve as Enfield's Chief of Police. I thank you for the opportunity to share some brief thoughts with you tonight. But before I do so, please allow me to recognize certain officials that have joined us tonight and whose presence here is a testament to the commitment, the true commitment and genuine support that this agency enjoys within our community. Let me ask if you would please stand, our Enfield Town Council and our Enfield State Representative, if you'd please stand and be recognized. Thank you. Please also allow me to recognize and thank two of my contemporaries that have taken time out of their schedules to join us this evening, Cromwell Chief of Police Denise LaMontagne and Glastonbury Police Chief Marshall Porter. In a recent column in the Wall Street Journal, Matthew Hennessy, a features editor, introduced readers to Father Andrew Vill, a young priest in the Diocese of Norwich, Diocese of Bridgeport, please excuse me. Father Vill was a teenager during the 9/11 terrorist attack, and he had been inspired to a life in the clergy by a message that had been created by the Archdiocese of New York and placed upon their webpage after the attacks of 2001. The message on their banner was simple and direct. The world needs heroes. In an interview conducted by Hennessy as a part of this article, Father Vill offered, "Every young man wants to be a hero. We all dream about saving the day." And of course, Father Vill was correct. We all dream about saving the day, and we all hope to do so, no matter our vocation. The thing is, some of us actually have the courage, the drive, the intestinal fortitude, the opportunity to save the day somewhat more directly than others. Tonight you will hear accounts of outstanding police service, life-saving actions by citizens within our community, meritorious action by our dispatch personnel, and simply put, all-around bravery. You will hear an account of a member of our community who hoisted a vehicle off of a victim after a jack slipped on the truck he was working on. You will hear of an officer who used non-lethal means to prevent the suicide of a man armed with a knife. You will hear of a couple who provided resuscitation to a child drowning victim. You will hear of officers who entered the Connecticut River to rescue a woman who had driven her car into the water in an effort to end her life. you will hear of a group of officers who successfully apprehended an armed and barricaded man without injury to him after this same man had fired upon these officers. And these, ladies and gentlemen, are merely a representation of the many, many accounts that will unfold before you this evening. If you should lose sight of me during these presentations, just look up for the guy on the stage standing in complete awe. I certainly do not know if the Archdiocese's somewhat unique advertising effort enjoyed minimal, moderate, or even substantial success within their ranks. I certainly do know, however, that the Enfield Police Department is replete with heroes and that we are a better profession and a better world because of them. Thank you.
Please welcome to the stage the Enfield Mayor, Mayor Michael Ludwig.
Welcome, everyone. My name is Mike Ludwig. I'm the mayor of Enfield, and thank you for coming to Enfield tonight. To all the officers and families who came from outside Enfield, Enfield's a great town. We welcome you. You're welcome here anytime. And to lighten up a little bit, because I am told, I've spoke a couple times before our officers in town, I have a great sense of humor. How many here are accountants in the room? What's the difference between an actuary and an accountant? Actuary has a personality. Thank you. So I kind of like to lighten it up, but again, I think the word here in the room tonight is pride. You feel it, right? You're standing here tonight, whether you're from Enfield, whether you're an officer, whether you're a volunteer, a nurse. We have members from our school system. We had the Montessori school, young kids singing, honoring our police officers. What you get in Enfield is pride. We take great pride in our police force. We take great pride in it. And I think this is just a small showing of how we feel, again, so strong about how our officers serve our community. And then the interesting thing is you're going to hear about some volunteers tonight did some great things. We're honoring them as we should tonight. That's the way of life here in Enfield. That's what we do. We may argue with each other a lot. We certainly get mad at each other. But man, we'll lend a hand down and help someone out when they're in need. And those folks who are getting honored tonight, I am humbled to be here tonight to be able to speak just a little bit. Chief mentioned a couple of the incidents over the years, some of the great heroism that some of you folks displayed. Again, as a mayor, I'm just a mayor. That's all I am. Really, nothing more than that. You folks are the heroes. I'm extremely proud to be here. Enfield is proud. We're proud of the officers who came from other cities. I heard Cromwell is here, Glastonbury, Manchester, and I apologize if I missed a town or two. But again, you're always welcome to Enfield. I saw firsthand Crest, some of the activity Crest did, very impressive, very professional, and again, obviously very needed. And so I just want to say, as the mayor of Enfield, we welcome everyone here. This is a great night. Hope we can make this annual, and if it already is, we're going to continue to make it annual. But just, again, we have town staff here, we have school staff here, we have a private school organization. We're all in when it comes to public safety in Enfield. We're all in. And so thank you very much for coming here tonight. I congratulate all the winners. Keep up the good work. We expect to see everyone here next year. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So, folks, before we start the award ceremony, we have a couple minutes of a video presentation we'd like to show you. Some ongoings within the police department over the past year, and we think you'll enjoy it.
She feels better than ever when on fire, making her way back from mine. 15 is still time for you, time to buy, time to lose. 15, is there a wish better than this? When you only got 100 years to live. I'm 33 for a moment, still lonely. Would you see I'm there? Get on the way, babe. A family on my mind. I'm 35 for a moment. The secret's high, and I'm heading through all crosses, chasing the years of my life. 15 is still time for you, time to buy, time to lose yourself, and all the morning stars. 15, I'm alright with you. 15, there's never a wish better than this. When you only got 100 years to live, as time goes on.
All right, thank you to Officer Michael Krenowick and Mickey Emmons for putting that together for us. All right, our first award is a special award this year. It's called an Outstanding Achievement Award, one that we don't normally recognize or hand out, but one of our officers became informed of an achievement that one of our officers' sons had recently attained. They approached the chief, presented the idea of recognizing him tonight, and the chief gave it a thumbs up. So I'd like to ask Officer Eddie Therian to the stage and his son, Sky Therian. Sky Therian is the son of Officer Ed Therian. Sky has been a Boy Scout for most of his school career, and last fall he attained the rank of Eagle Scout. Eagle Scout's the highest rank a Boy Scout can achieve, and since its inception in 1911, only 4% of all Boy Scouts have attained this rank. It takes years of discipline and determination. The requirements for Eagle Scout include earning at least 21 merit badges, 10 of which are mandatory and extremely challenging. A Scout must also demonstrate Scout spirit, leadership, and service, especially in planning and accomplishing a major community service project known as the Eagle Scout Service Project. Familiar with the needs of special ed students, Sky, working with the chair of the Special Education Department at Suffield High School, planned and organized his entire Eagle Scout project. Sky raised funds and oversaw 8 volunteers in creating and building 5 important pieces of furniture to help students with sensory processing disorder. SPD is a neurological condition in which a person's brain misinterprets the information that his or her body is sending through its senses. People who have SPD either over-respond or under-respond to stimuli impacting their senses, causing agitation and an inability to work, concentrate, or interact. The 3 fidget chairs, sensory table, and tactile cabinet made by Sky and his volunteers help students to calm down, focus, and concentrate so they can get back to their day. Sky Therian, the Enfield Police Department acknowledges your perseverance as well as your tenacity and hereby congratulates you in recognition of your achievement to the rank of Eagle Scout. You are hereby presented with the Enfield Police Department Outstanding Achievement Award on this, the 15th day of May, 2019. Congratulations. Our next category of award is called the Police Citizen Award. This award is given or presented to an individual or organization whose cooperation or assistance has assisted the Enfield Police Department in the apprehension of criminals, the saving of a life, or any other valuable service to the department or the community. Our first award recipient in this category is Denise Gagnon. On January 30th, 2018, at approximately 5:40 a.m., the Enfield Police Department Communications Center received a report of an active robbery in progress at the Fast Eddie Shell Station located at 241 Hazard Avenue. Upon arrival, investigating officers were advised that the suspect had fled on foot towards Galaxy Plaza, and the suspect indicated that he had a weapon. A description of the suspect was obtained and a police canine track was initiated. A canine track that led to the rear of Galaxy Plaza, where investigating officers observed fresh tire tracks in the snow leaving the plaza. Denise Gagnon, an employee at the King Street Mobile in Enfield, received a text message from her store manager at the Shell station regarding the robbery and was given a description of the robbery suspect. A short time later, Ms. Gagnon observed a male enter the King Street Mobile that closely matched the description of the robbery suspect given to her. Ms. Gagnon noted this, and again the next day the robbery suspect entered the King Street Mobile again. While the robbery suspect was still inside the store, Ms. Gagnon instructed a regular customer to go outside and obtain the registration plate number on the vehicle the robbery suspect was driving. This information was passed on to investigating officers, and a subsequent investigation led to the identification of the robbery suspect. Enfield police detectives interviewed the suspect, which resulted in him giving a full confession to the robbery attempt and the recovery of key pieces of evidence used in this crime. Denise Gagnon, through your quick thinking and attentive observations, you assisted the Enfield Police Department to apprehend a potentially dangerous robbery suspect, and your actions are to be commended. The Enfield Police Department acknowledges your actions and commitment to the safety of the community and is proud to recognize you as an outstanding citizen. You are hereby presented with the Enfield Police Department Police Citizen Award on this, the 15th day of May, 2019. Congratulations. Mary Lou Romano, Diane Stack, and Gail Tryon. Diane couldn't make it with us tonight. On June 13th, 2018, a student entered the nurse's office at the JFK Middle School in respiratory distress, complaining of pain in his torso. School nurses Mary Lou Romano, Diane Stack, and Gail Tryon worked in collaboration with each other to assess the medical emergency and determine that this was a potentially life-threatening condition. The student was suffering from a spontaneous pneumothorax, which presents itself as a sudden onset of a collapsed lung without any apparent cause, such as a traumatic injury to the chest or a known lung disease. A collapsed lung is caused by the collection of air in the space around the lungs. Working as a team, you explain this medical condition to the student, what to expect both en route to and at the hospital, and because of your professional and caring demeanor, the student was not alarmed and remained calm throughout this event. The student was transported to the hospital by Enfield EMS, where he underwent surgery to repair his lung. The student recovered from his surgery and was able to return to school in time to finish out the school year with his classmates. Mary Lou Romano, Diane Stack, and Gail Tryon, this was a highly stressful situation, and you had acted quickly and without hesitation to treat and assist the student in a potentially life-threatening situation. You are to be commended for your actions, as they reflect highly upon you as outstanding nurses in the Enfield school system. You are hereby presented with the Enfield Police Citizen Award on this, the 15th day of May, 2019. Congratulations. Robert Clark and Amanda Kettle. On December 15th, 2018, at approximately 2:20 p.m., EPD officers were dispatched to a residence on Robin Road for a reported stabbing. Responding officers were given the physical descriptors of the suspect, including clothing worn, and quickly located him at the intersection of Washington and Till Streets. The victim of the assault, suffering from multiple stab wounds, had fled his home in an attempt to get away from the suspect and tried to relocate to a neighbor's house down the street while the suspect was still pursuing him. Robert Clark was outside his residence and observed the victim, who was now in Clark's driveway, being pursued by the suspect. Mr. Clark intervened and yelled at the suspect to stop and get away from the property. The suspect obeyed Mr. Clark's command and fled on foot. A neighbor of Mr. Clark, Amanda Kettle, observed this commotion outside and ran to Clark's residence to assist him in rendering medical aid to the victim. The victim, who was coughing up blood, had suffered multiple stab wounds, including 4 on his back, 1 in the left armpit, and 1 in his lower left abdomen. Both Robert Clark and Amanda Kettle remained calm and worked together as the team tried to treat the victim until emergency medical services could arrive on scene. They applied direct pressure to the victim's wounds in an attempt to stop the bleeding, which was instrumental as a life-saving measure in this life-threatening event. Robert Clark and Amanda Kettle, this was a highly stressful situation, and you acted quickly and without hesitation to assist the neighbor in a life-threatening situation. The Enfield Police Department acknowledges your actions and commitment to the safety of the community and is proud to recognize you tonight as outstanding citizens. You are hereby presented with the Enfield Police Department Police Citizen Award on this, the 15th day of May, 2019. Congratulations. Jose and Yahara Santiago. On June 30th, 2018, at approximately 9 p.m., the Enfield Police Communications Center received an emergency phone call reporting that a child had been found drowned in a swimming pool at a residence located on Connecticut Avenue. Responding officers were advised that the child had been revived and was now breathing on his own. Upon arrival, investigating officers determined that a 3-year-old child went missing during a family gathering. A subsequent search of the property resulted in finding the child submerged at the bottom of an above-ground pool. Jose Santiago, the child's uncle, leapt over the edge of the pool and retrieved the child from the pool floor. The child appeared lifeless and was not breathing. Jose Santiago brought the child to the edge of the pool, and both he and Yahara Santiago began CPR efforts while emergency services were dispatched via a 911 phone call. The child soon began to cough and began breathing on his own just as emergency services arrived. The child was evaluated by EMS and transported to a local hospital for further evaluation. The child had since made a full recovery due to the life-saving efforts of both Jose and Yahara Santiago. Jose and Yahara Santiago, this was a highly stressful situation, and you acted quickly and without hesitation to assist a relative in a life-threatening situation. You are to be commended for your actions as you both helped save a life. The Enfield Police Department is proud to recognize you as outstanding citizens, and you are hereby presented with the Enfield Police Department Police Citizen Award on this, the 15th day of May, 2019. Congratulations. Christopher Silva and Vanku Thor. On July 27, 2018, at approximately 4:05 a.m., Christopher Silva was at his residence located in the Crystal Corners neighborhood of Enfield. And as he looked out the front window of the dining room, observed a white SUV parked in the middle of the street, running with its headlights on. Mr. Silva then observed a male suspect run toward a vehicle that was parked in front of his house and noticed that the vehicle's interior dome light was illuminated. Mr. Silva, suspecting that the vehicles were being burglarized, exited his home and addressed the suspect by yelling at him. When he did so, he observed a total of 4 suspects run away from other vehicles parked in the neighborhood and all jump into the white SUV he observed parked earlier on the street. Mr. Silva obtained a good description of the suspects and their vehicle as it sped away, relaying this information to EPD officers as they arrived on scene. Vanku Thor, a resident in the David Street neighborhood of Enfield, located approximately 1 mile away from Crystal Corners, was at his home at approximately 4:20 a.m. and observed the white SUV parked in front of his house. Mr. Thor observed that 2 suspects had entered his vehicle and were now looking through it. Mr. Thor woke up a family member and exited his house to address the burglary suspects. The white SUV was fleeing the area, and as one of the suspects was running after the SUV to catch it, Mr. Thor ran after and tackled the suspect to the ground. As he did so, the white SUV stopped quickly, and the occupants were yelling for the suspect to get back into the vehicle. Mr. Thor, fearing for his own safety, drew his legally owned and licensed firearm and held it in his hand. The white SUV quickly fled the area. Mr. Thor detained the burglary suspect until EPD officers arrived on scene and took the suspect into custody. A subsequent investigation found that the suspects had not only burglarized several neighborhoods throughout the Enfield area, but also committed burglaries in the towns of West Hartford, East Hartford, Bloomfield, and Windsor as well that night. Numerous items stolen throughout the night were later recovered and returned to their rightful owners. Christopher Silva and Vanku Thor, this was a highly stressful situation, and you acted quickly and without hesitation. As a result of your actions, multiple burglary suspects were taken into custody, countless motor vehicle burglaries were averted, and several burglary investigations throughout the region were solved. You are to be commended for your actions as they reflect highly upon you as outstanding citizens. You are hereby presented with the Enfield Police Department Police Citizen Award on this, the 15th day of May, 2019. Congratulations. Our next award category is called the Letter of Commendation. This goes to a member of the department or a citizen when actions of the member of the Enfield Police Department are significant enough in nature to deserve recognition, but yet do not meet the qualifications for a medal. A letter of commendation may be awarded. Enfield Police Department Communication Dispatchers Robert Maltese and Kathleen Shattuck. On March 13th, 2019, at approximately 8:10 p.m., EPD officers were dispatched to the area of Pearl Street and South Street for a report of an assault. Upon arrival, investigating officers found that the victim had been stabbed and the suspect had fled the scene. Dispatchers Rob Maltese and Kathleen Shattuck began working together as a team inside the Enfield Police Communications Center to share information about the suspect's description and to review video footage from various locations throughout the area. Dispatchers Maltese and Shattuck pieced together clothing and footwear descriptions of people throughout the day that matched the suspect's description and ultimately were able to identify a vehicle that the suspect used in the crime. The suspect vehicle information was broadcast out to investigating officers who quickly located the vehicle at a nearby restaurant. The suspect was located inside the business and quickly taken into custody. Dispatchers Robert Maltese and Kathleen Shattuck, through the intelligent performance of your duty, a felony assault suspect was quickly located and arrested. Evidence was developed and secured, and a major case was solved. You are to be commended for your actions, and you are hereby presented with the Enfield Police Department Letter of Commendation on this, the 15th day of May, 2019. Congratulations. Enfield Police Department Communication Dispatchers Kenneth Maltese and Kim Hanley. On October 17, 2017, at approximately 8:44 a.m., dispatchers Kenneth Maltese and Kim Hanley were on duty in the Enfield Emergency Communications Center. As they were conversing with a fellow coworker positioned in the third dispatcher slot, they observed their fellow dispatcher was experiencing signs and symptoms of a significant medical emergency. Dispatcher Maltese immediately rushed to the aid of his coworker, while Dispatcher Hanley maintained all 3 dispatcher positions single-handedly. Dispatcher Maltese quickly performed a medical assessment of his coworker, determined that they were suffering from a cardiac-based medical emergency. Dispatcher Hanley requested emergency medical services, while Dispatcher Maltese retrieved an AED and stethoscope to monitor the patient while awaiting Enfield EMS to respond. Upon arrival of EMS, the patient was rapidly transported to an area hospital where it was confirmed that the patient had suffered a significant cardiac event that was mitigated by the swift and decisive actions of both Dispatchers Maltese and Hanley. Their coworker has since recovered and is back at work today, in large part due to the response of both Dispatchers Maltese and Hanley. Dispatchers Kenneth Maltese and Kimberly Hanley, this was a highly stressful situation, and you acted quickly and without hesitation to help and save a coworker's life. You are to be commended for your actions as they reflect highly upon you as emergency communication dispatchers. You are hereby presented with the Enfield Police Department Letter of Commendation on this, the 15th day of May, 2019. Congratulations. Officer Michael Colantuano. On September 14th, 2018, at approximately 3:15 p.m., Officer Colantuano was dispatched to the intersection of Pearl Street and Franklin Street for a report of a one-car motor vehicle accident. Dispatch informed responding officers that the operator of the motor vehicle was unresponsive and that the cause of the crash may be due to a medical condition with the operator. Upon arrival, emergency responders had to force entry into the vehicle and break the passenger side window to gain access to the operator. Officer Colantuano then performed a rapid assessment of the operator, determined he was in full cardiac arrest, and began CPR efforts to revive this unconscious victim. The operator was transported by EMS to a local critical care hospital where life-saving efforts continued for the patient. The patient was diagnosed as having suffered a massive heart attack, which was the cause of the motor vehicle accident. Due to the rapid response and swift, decisive action taken by all emergency responders on scene that day, the operator survived and was expected to make a full recovery. Officer Colantuano, this was a highly stressful situation, and through the intelligent performance of your duty, you helped save a life. You are to be commended for your actions as they reflect highly upon you as a police officer. You have demonstrated a devotion and faithfulness to duty in the highest traditions of the Enfield Police Department, and are hereby presented with the Enfield Police Department Letter of Commendation on this, the 15th day of May, 2019. Congratulations. Officer Colantuano and Officer Brandon Cares. On November 5th, 2018, at approximately 5:10 p.m., Officers Colantuano and Cares were dispatched to the Joshua Treatment Center to evaluate a juvenile reported to have attempted suicide. During the course of their investigation, it was determined that the juvenile had attempted suicide via hanging at a residence here in town, and that the noose used was likely still in the bedroom at his home. Officers Colantuano and Cares responded to the residence to retrieve the noose in order to prevent a future suicide attempt. Upon arrival, these officers located and retrieved the noose from the bedroom of the juvenile. Officers Colantuano and Cares then questioned other family members living in the home regarding access by the juvenile to any other dangerous weapons or firearms. A family member advised these officers that he had acquired various military surplus items from his time serving in the military and that they were stored throughout the home. Officers Colantuano and Cares inquired as to the type of military items that were stored inside the residence, and the family member proceeded to show them his inventory. Officers Colantuano and Cares quickly recognized that many of these items should not be in the hands of a civilian, nor should they be stored in a residential neighborhood due to the threat to public safety. Supervisory notifications were made, the Connecticut State Police Bomb Squad was requested, as well as the Westover Air Reserve Base Explosive Ordnance Disposal Team. A subsequent search of the residence resulted in finding numerous commercial-grade explosives, commercial-grade fireworks, multiple RPG rockets, various types of military equipment, ammunitions, and weapons parts. Numerous federal agencies, including the FBI, ATF, and the Joint Terrorism Task Force, were advised of these findings as well. All of the items of interest were seized as evidence, and this case remains under investigation today. Officers Michael Colantuano and Brandon Cares, through the intelligent performance of your duty, military-grade weapons were located and seized, a dangerous situation was averted, and a community was made safe. You are to be commended for your actions as they reflect highly upon you as police officers. You are hereby presented with the Enfield Police Department Letter of Commendation on this, the 15th day of May, 2019. Congratulations. Officers Ryan Bartolucci and Matthew Alexander. On March 17, 2019, at approximately 10:45 p.m., Officer Bartolucci was investigating suspicious activity and conducted a motor vehicle stop on Route 91 northbound. As Officer Bartolucci approached the passenger side window, he detected the smell of marijuana emanating from inside the vehicle. In speaking with the operator, Officer Bartolucci observed that he was acting extremely nervous and requested additional backup to the scene. The operator admitted to having a bag of marijuana and turned it over to Officer Bartolucci. Once backup officers arrived, the operator was removed from the vehicle and a search of the operator and the vehicle was conducted. During the search, the operator was found to have approximately $2,400 in cash in his pocket. Inside the vehicle, a loaded .40 caliber handgun was found, along with a fully loaded 10-round magazine. Just as the handgun was located inside the vehicle, the operator fled the scene on foot toward the wood line. Officers Bartolucci and Alexander immediately gave chase and pursued the operator into the woods. The foot pursuit totaled approximately 150 yards into the dark, marsh-filled, thickly wooded area where Officers Bartolucci and Alexander captured the suspect. Upon arresting the suspect and completing a search of his vehicle, multiple pieces of evidence were seized related to this narcotic investigation, including multiple cell phones, crack cocaine, and various items of drug paraphernalia. Officer Ryan Bartolucci and Matthew Alexander, through the intelligent performance of your duty, an armed and dangerous drug dealer was taken into custody, a loaded handgun was taken off the street, and a dangerous and potentially deadly situation was avoided. You are to be commended for your actions as they reflect highly upon you as police officers. You have demonstrated a devotion and faithfulness to duty in the highest traditions of the Enfield Police Department and are hereby presented with the Enfield Police Department Letter of Commendation on this, the 15th day of May, 2019. Congratulations. Officers Michael Lynch, Stephen Pryor, and Jacob Bryan. On November 8, 2018, at approximately 6:45 p.m., Officers Michael Lynch, Stephen Pryor, and Jacob Bryan were conducting surveillance on a residence where a male subject resided that had multiple felony warrants out for him, including violation of probation and failure to appear type charges. These officers observed the male pull into his driveway of the residence in an effort to avoid a standoff situation if the subject had made it into the house, and to avoid other potentially hostile family members. They decided to apprehend the male as he exited his vehicle. As the officers approached his car, the male retreated back into his car, closed the door, and retrieved a box cutter from the center console area. The male was observed attempting to cut his throat with the box cutter. Officer Lynch, Pryor, and Ryan immediately gained access to the vehicle and placed themselves in harm's way as they wrestled the knife away from this now suicidal male. The male was quickly disarmed and taken into custody. Officers Michael Lynch, Stephen Pryor, and Jacob Ryan, this was a highly stressful situation, and you placed yourself in harm's way to prevent a suicidal and potentially homicidal individual from taking his own life. You are to be commended for your actions as they reflect highly upon you as police officers. You have demonstrated a devotion and faithfulness to duty in the highest traditions of the Enfield Police Department and are hereby presented with the Enfield Police Department Letter of Commendation on this, the 15th day of May, 2019. Congratulations. Our next award category is the Certificate of Merit. The Certificate of Merit may be awarded to members who are recognized for performance resulting in improved operations, outstanding community service, substantial savings in organizational costs, exceptional activities that benefit the department, or whose actions demonstrate a special faithfulness or devotion to duty. Officer Michael Emmons. The town of Enfield, along with the Enfield Police Department, has recently completed phase 1 of a multi-year, multi-phase camera installation project. The concept for the implementation of cameras and analytics was formed in 2015. The strategy was developed as part of an attempt to revitalize the Thompsonville area of town, an area that has a high population replete with issues related to the opioid crisis. At the time, an initial design for the project was formulated and engineered. Due to the variety of circumstances, the project made little progress until March of 2018. Then, under the direction of Michael Emmons, the project was reborn. That month, meetings began with town leadership where the details of the project were laid out in a multi-phase format and the funds were sought. The reality of the benefits of a multi-agency cooperation became apparent in the Enfield Joint Operations Center, a cooperative effort between the Enfield Board of Education, Enfield Housing Authority, and the Enfield Police Department was formed. Through Officer Emmons' tenacity, leadership, underlying knowledge, and commitment, his role in an ensuing series of meetings and presentations, the project gained enough support for a subcommittee to bring it before the entire town council for the appropriation of funds for the first phase. The first phase of this project included the installation of infrastructure, as well as 5 poles, which totaled 17 cameras to cover the Thompsonville area, with plans to expand throughout the town of Enfield. On 12/17/18, in a unanimous vote, the Enfield Town Council voted to approve the funds for the first phase of the project. In the subsequent 2 months, all of the objectives of the first phase were completed and exceeded, including all of the camera locations and the corresponding equipment needed to support the project. In the first 3 weeks alone, the cameras were a near instant success. In the first days, the cameras captured a variety of incidents, including several violent acts to include a stabbing, an attack on a police officer, and verification of a false report of a carjacking, and assisted in solving numerous other cases that would otherwise likely have been unsolved. The town of Enfield has enjoyed success with these cameras and technology solutions and hope to continue the expansion to perpetuate that success. The success of this project, both to date and in the future, is the sole responsibility of Officer Michael Emmons, who championed and guided this project from the beginning to its present stage. Officer Emmons, your extraordinary efforts in creating this project proved invaluable. This camera project not only enhances our ability to solve crimes, but makes our community a safer place to live. You are to be commended for your efforts as they reflect highly upon you as a police officer. You have demonstrated a devotion and faithfulness to duty that are in keeping with the highest traditions of the Enfield Police Department and are hereby presented with the Enfield Police Department Merit Award on this, the 15th day of May, 2019. Congratulations, Mike. Our next award category is the departmental citation. A departmental citation shall be awarded to a department member who saves someone's life, who makes a valiant attempt to save someone's life, A departmental citation shall also be awarded to any department member who, through the diligence and initiative, apprehends or causes to be apprehended a serious felon. Dispatcher Kathleen Shattuck. On July 3rd, 2018, at approximately 4:55 p.m., the Enfield Police Communications Center received a 911 phone call reporting that a 4-year-old child had drowned in a residential swimming pool. Dispatcher Shattuck was the emergency communication dispatcher who received this call and quickly ascertained critical information while dealing with the frantic caller on 911. Dispatcher Shattuck was advised that the child's mother was attempting CPR on the child. However, by listening to what was occurring in the background, she determined that the persons on scene did not actually know CPR. Dispatcher Shattuck quickly took control of the situation and patiently worked with the caller to relay instructions to the caregiver. Dispatcher Shattuck remained calm and effectively administered emergency medical dispatch protocols for CPR for approximately 5 minutes until emergency responders arrived on scene. Dispatcher Shattuck's competence, calm demeanor, and patience as an emergency communication dispatcher facilitated the 4-year-old child receiving nearly 4 minutes of life-saving care prior to the arrival of first responders and ultimately saved the child's life. The child was transported by EMS to a local hospital and was later released, having made a full recovery. Dispatcher Shattuck, this was a highly stressful situation, and through the intelligent performance of your duty, a child's life was saved. You are to be commended for your actions as they reflect highly upon you as an emergency communication dispatcher. You are hereby presented with the Enfield Police Department Citation Medal on this, the 15th day of May, 2019. Congratulations. Our next award category is the Distinguished Service Award. The Distinguished Service Medal shall be awarded to any department member who renders service beyond the normal course of duty with alertness, perseverance, or timely judgment in the performance of a difficult task, which results in the protection of life, the recovery of a stolen property, the prevention of solving of a major crime, or the apprehension of an armed or otherwise dangerous person without regard to personal safety. Officer Robert Moeller. On March 17, 2019, at approximately 1:30 a.m., Officer Moeller responded to a residence on Park Avenue for a report of a missing adult female. Officer Moeller, through the course of his investigation, learned that the female had a history of suicide attempts through various means, and the family was highly concerned for her well-being. Officer Moeller found the female's prescription pill containers in the home and determined, based on the date they were filled, that a large amount of medication was now missing. Officer Moeller had dispatched query the female's registration plate number to see if any other police agency had run the plate over the past few hours, and then sent out a bolo to area police departments advising them of the urgency in locating this female, believing that she was a suicide risk. Officer Moeller used all means available to law enforcement to try and quickly locate this female. Officer Moeller, based on his concern for her safety, received authorization from the headquarters commander to conduct a series of pings on the female's phone to try and narrow down her location. Officer Moeller, along with other members of the department, mapped out the area where the cell phone ping registered back to. All area streets, parking lots, and open areas were checked by patrol units in hope of finding the missing female or her vehicle. Officers even went knocking door to door in the area to focus with no success. Officer Moeller then requested permission to expand his search across the Connecticut River into Suffield, where the area of accuracy of the cell phone ping extended. Officer Moeller located the vehicle in a parking lot at the end of Canal Road in Suffield. Officer Moeller found the missing female inside the vehicle, unresponsive but breathing. Officer Moeller requested both Suffield EMS and Suffield Police Department to respond to the scene. The female was evaluated by Suffield EMS and taken into protective custody, where she was then transported to an area hospital for a mental health evaluation. Officer Moeller, through the intelligent performance of your duty, a suicidal female was quickly located and prevented from taking her own life. You are to be commended for your actions as they reflect highly upon you as a police officer. You have demonstrated a devotion and faithfulness to duty in the highest traditions of the Enfield Police Department and are hereby presented with the Enfield Police Department Medal for Distinguished Service on this, the 15th day of May, 2019. Congratulations. Robbie, coming right back. Officer Robert Moeller, Officer Joshua Pinsker, and Officer Brandon Karisnowitz. On December 26, 2018, at approximately 3:10 a.m., Officers Pinsker and Karinskowitz were dispatched to the area of Route 5 and Route 91 at exit 49 for a report of a 911 caller saying he was suffering from emotional problems and wanted help from a crisis team. Dispatch advised responding officers that the caller sounded like he was intoxicated. Upon arrival, Officers Pinsker and Karisnowitz searched the area and located the male hiding behind a concrete barrier overpass at Route 91 and exit 49. As they approached the male, they observed he was holding a knife to his throat. These officers advised dispatch of the situation and requested additional units to the scene. Officer Pinsker tried to establish some dialogue with the male, who was now yelling that he wanted to die and did not deserve to live. The male indicated to these officers if they came any closer to him, he would cut his throat and kill himself. Officers Pinsker and Karisnowitz continued to establish a rapport with the suicidal male and awaited additional units to arrive on scene. Officer Moeller, who was at headquarters when this call was dispatched as the additional unit, and upon hearing what the situation was on scene, grabbed a less lethal beanbag gun from the armory. Upon arrival, Officer Moeller communicated with these officers on scene and coordinated a plan to surround the suicidal male from both sides of the bridge. As officers moved into position, the male moved into the middle of the roadway, still holding a knife to his throat. Officer Moeller, armed with this beanbag shotgun, was in position behind the male as he moved closer. The male turned around and pointed a knife at him. Officer Moeller instructed the male to drop the knife. The male turned towards Officer Pinsker and Karisnowitz. At that point, fearing for his own safety and the safety of all on scene, Officer Moeller deployed one beanbag round into the upper thigh area of the male. The male continued toward the sidewalk and refused to drop the knife. Officer Moeller fired a second beanbag round into the male's thigh, who stumbled onto the sidewalk area of Route 5. The male ultimately obeyed commands to drop the knife and was taken into custody, where he was transported to an area hospital for a mental health evaluation. The male indicated numerous times that he had wished officers on scene had shot him with their guns and killed him. The male also expressed his desire to have jumped down from the overpass onto the highway as a way to kill himself. Officers Robert Moeller, Joshua Pinsker, and Brandon Karisnowitz, this was a highly stressful situation, and you officers showed extreme restraint and control in dealing with the suicidal and potentially homicidal individual. You are to be commended for your actions, as they reflect highly upon you as police officers. You have demonstrated a devotion and faithfulness to duty in the highest traditions of the Enfield Police Department. Officer Moeller is hereby presented with the Enfield Police Department Medal for Distinguished Service, and Officers Pinsker and Karisnowitz are hereby presented with the Enfield Police Department Letter of Commendation on this, the 15th day of May, 2019. Congratulations. Officer Vanessa Magagnoli. This award is being given to two other officers that couldn't make it tonight, Officers Dan Maynard and Officer Tim Garish. On March 15th, 2018, at approximately 1:30 p.m., Officers Maynard, Garish, and Magagnoli were dispatched to the South River Street boat launch for a report of a female making suicidal statements. The female had approached the complainant at the boat launch and advised them that she wanted to commit suicide by cutting herself. While en route to the call, responding officers were advised that the suicidal female had now driven her car into the Connecticut River. Officer Magagnoli arrived on scene and observed the vehicle floating in the Connecticut River approximately 20 to 30 yards offshore with a female inside. The female operator rolled down her window and began screaming for emergency responders to let her go, and indicated several times that she just wanted to die. The Connecticut River current that day was strong, and the vehicle was drifting back toward the shorelines. Officer Magagnoli, Maynard, and Garish, assisted by a member of the Thompsonville Fire Department, without hesitation and air temperatures in the mid-40s, entered the frigid water and waded out to the vehicle. Working together, this team guided the floating vehicle closer to shore to better enable them to rescue the female still inside. The female continued to say she wanted to die and refused to open the locked vehicle door. Once officers gained entry, they removed the female from the vehicle, safely escorted her to shore, and placed her into protective custody. The suicidal female was evaluated by Enfield EMS and transported to a local hospital for a mental health evaluation. The vehicle was later towed out of the river, and upon conducting an inventory search, several razor blades, a bottle of liquor, and an apparent suicide note was located inside the vehicle. Officers Magagnoli, Maynard, and Garish, through the intelligent performance of your duty, an emotionally disturbed person was taken into custody without harming herself or others. You placed yourself in harm's way to save another person's life. You are to be commended for your actions as they reflect highly upon you as police officers. You have demonstrated a devotion and faithfulness to duty in the highest traditions of the Enfield Police Department and are hereby presented with the Enfield Police Department Medal for Distinguished Service on this, the 15th day of May, 2019. Our next award is called the Outstanding Unit Citation. The Outstanding Unit Citation may be awarded to any unit or division within the department whose members demonstrate continued excellence or high degree of teamwork and professionalism in the performance of their duties, or who exhibited exceptional professional skill and conduct during the coordinated action of an event. The Enfield Police Department Detective Bureau. And accepting tonight would be Detective Rebecca Ledger. On September 10th, 2018, at approximately 12:22 a.m., the Enfield Police Communications Center received a report of a street fight occurring in front of a residence on Hoover Lane. Responding officers were advised that a person was on the ground and may have been stabbed. Upon arrival, officers found the victim on the ground, who was losing consciousness due to multiple stab wounds suffered from the assault. Officers initiated CPR, and the victim was soon transported by EMS to a local trauma center, where he later succumbed to his injuries. The Enfield Police Detective Bureau was notified and took over this investigation. EPD detectives conducted numerous interviews with witnesses on scene and identified the main suspect in this homicide investigation. EPD detectives determined possible accomplices had entered a nearby house prior to fleeing the scene. Detectives made contact with the occupants of that residence and subsequently secured the home for the purposes of obtaining a search warrant. This homicide investigation soon became a multi-agency cooperative effort, and the suspect was tracked to a relative's house in the city of Hartford. EPD detectives, assisted by members of the Manchester FBI Violent Crime Task Force and members of the Hartford Police Detective Bureau, responded to the Hartford residence and, after interviewing relatives, located the suspect inside the home. The suspect was arrested and transported to the Enfield Police Department. Multiple search warrant applications related to this investigation were applied for, including the Enfield residence, the Hartford residence, and 2 vehicles directly involved in this incident. During the execution of these search warrants, multiple pieces of evidence were located and seized, including blood-stained clothing, a knife, and several other pieces of evidence deemed highly valuable to this investigation. At the completion of this investigation, the suspect was charged with manslaughter in the first degree and is currently awaiting trial. To all of the members of the Enfield Police Detective Bureau, without your extraordinary effort into this investigation, a violent criminal would have remained at large, a family would be left without closure, and a community would have been left in fear. You are to be commended for your actions as they reflect highly upon you as police detectives. You have demonstrated a devotion and faithfulness to duty in the highest traditions of the Enfield Police Department and are hereby presented with the Enfield Police Department Unit Citation Award on this, the 15th day of May, 2019. Congratulations. Our next award is called the Medal of Valor. The Medal of Bravery or Valor shall be awarded to anyone who demonstrates exceptional heroism in the performance of duty while exposed to danger, which exposes them to extreme peril. And this will be in combination with the Unit Citation Award. Please welcome to the stage the Capital Region Emergency Services Team, CREST. On November 13th, 2018, the Enfield Police Department received an arrest warrant for an individual wanted on felony domestic violence-related charges. The suspect named in the warrant had pointed a firearm at a victim of a domestic violence incident and had threatened to shoot her. Considering the facts and circumstances surrounding this case, including the fact that firearms were used during this incident by the suspect, the CREST team was requested to assist the Enfield Police Department in serving this high-risk arrest warrant. During the evening hours of November 13th, 2018, members of the CREST team took up a perimeter around the suspect's residence and made contact with him regarding the arrest warrant. The suspect refused to exit his home and surrender to officers posted outside. The suspect instead made direct threats to officers indicating that he would not be arrested easily or without confrontation. Over the next few hours, negotiations with the suspect broke down. The suspect was becoming very hostile on the phone with negotiators, and the decision was made to deploy a combination of CS and OC gas canisters into the suspect's home. As CREST team members introduced gas from an armored vehicle into the residence, they immediately became under fire as the suspect began firing rounds at them. These members of the CREST team, Officer Nicholas King from the Enfield Police Department, Officer Matt Alexander from the Enfield Police Department, Paramedic Jason Bach, Officer Peter Brander from the Glastonbury Police Department, Officer Joel DiLoretto from the Wethersfield Police Department, Officer Aaron Grechko from the Vernon Police Department, Sergeant Richard Monge from the Manchester Police Department, Sergeant Ryan Parsons from the Cromwell Police Department, Officer James Phillips from the Glastonbury Police Department, Officer Jason Trudeau from the Glastonbury Police Department were all in tactical positions both inside and outside the armored Bearcat vehicle. Multiple rounds struck on or about the vehicle, placing these officers in harm's way and in extreme danger. These CREST team officers maintained their composure, professionalism, and exercised extreme restraint while maintaining their positions outside the residence and placing themselves in harm's way. Throughout the night, CREST team's negotiator continued to persuade the suspect to surrender himself and end this standoff peacefully. Ultimately, in the early morning hours of November 14th, CREST team members made tactical entry into the home and took the suspect into custody. No members of the CREST team nor the suspect was seriously injured during this incident. To all of the members of the Capital Region Emergency Services team, as a result of your extraordinary skills in this investigation, a violent and homicidal individual was taken into custody without causing himself harm or others. You are all to be commended for your actions as they reflect highly upon you as police officers. On behalf of a grateful community, thank you for demonstrating the highest levels of bravery and valor while serving us in the line of duty. Officers Alexander, Bach, Brander, DiLoretto, Grechko, King, Monge, Parsons, Phillips, and Trudeau are hereby presented with the Enfield Police Department Medal of Valor, and Lieutenant Glenn Bonaducci will be accepting the Enfield Police Department Unit Citation Award for the CREST team on this, the 15th day of May, 2019. Congratulations, gentlemen. See us afterward, okay? Ladies and gentlemen, that will conclude our award ceremony. Please join me in one more round of applause for all of our award recipients tonight. And Chief Fox would like to make some closing comments.
Ladies and gentlemen, in closing, please allow me to express our gratitude to you one additional time for attending this evening's events. I am honored to serve with the men and women who have been recognized tonight. I am honored to serve with the men and women who, through circumstance, couldn't be here tonight. Just as I am honored to serve them, they are honored to serve you. Thank you to this community. Thank you to our town council. Thank you to our neighboring police departments for all that you do that enable us to perform to the degree that we are able to. Thank you. Please enjoy the rest of your evening.
Yeah, I didn't expect that many people.